Have you ever made a candle and it smells really strong and really good in the jar, but then once you light it and let it burn for a little bit, you're not smelling anything at all? This can be super frustrating, and it's called your hot throw. And if you're not getting a strong hot throw, there are a bunch of different reasons why it may be happening, and I have a bunch of tips for you today that I would like to share that may help you improve your hot throw or see why you're not getting a strong scent from your candles while they're burning. My name is Danny. I'm the owner of Amber & Oak, and let's hop right in. The first tip I have for you is to know your wax. Paraffin waxes can burn a little bit faster, but often have a stronger hot throw and smoother tops. And then you have your natural waxes like soy wax, coconut wax that might have a softer hot throw compared to paraffin wax, but burn a lot slower. And people who are typically sensitive to the heavily fragranced, strong candles may like them better. People who have sensitivities, allergies, etc. So it really just depends on the people that you plan on selling to, your customer base, your demographic, and what you're looking to put inside your product. There's also some blends where there's like a mostly soy wax with a small amount of food grade paraffin in there that might boost that hot throw just the right amount that you're looking for. And it's definitely worth trying out a few different 5 to 10 pound bags of waxes in the beginning, or even years into your candle business if you want to improve your hot throw or some other element of your candle, and see which wax you like the best. The next thing you're going to want to look into is your fragrance oil load or your fragrance load. This is the amount of fragrance in a percentage that you're putting into your candles, and you can find your maximum fragrance oil load on the manufacturer's website or the supplier that you purchased your wax on. They will have instructions on the description of the product that tells you the maximum percentage of fragrance oil that you can by weight put into your wax before it is a fire hazard, or it can have like fragrance oil seeping out of the wax, because that's over the amount that the wax can physically hold. And you don't want to exceed that maximum fragrance oil load, even if you're so desperately trying to add more fragrance to get a stronger candle. It is not always the case that more fragrance oil equals a stronger hot throw. So what I would definitely suggest is starting at a lower percentage, smaller percentage, lower percentage, like 6%, 7%, and working your way up to the maximum fragrance oil load for that wax, just to see what works the best, because you may not need as much fragrance oil as you think, and you can actually save money like that in the back end on your cost of goods, and that's what we want. That's what we want. Fragrance oil is expensive. The next thing I would look into if you're looking to troubleshoot your hot throw is temperature. Temperature is so important in candle making, and there's 3 you want to look out for, and you can get from your manufacturer's instructions as well, and then toggle with on your own to do your own testing and find the temperatures that work the best for you. The first temperature is the temperature that you're heating your wax to. The second is the temperature that you're pouring your fragrance oil in at. And the third temperature is the temperature that you're pouring at. Now, if you're adding your fragrance oil in at too low of a temperature, this may cause the wax to not be able to bind properly with the fragrance oil. So that may be a reason. And if you are also heating not hot enough in the first place while you're melting it down, this could be affecting your hot throw. There are a bunch of different temperature issues that could be messing with the final outcome of your candle while it's burning. So it's definitely worth taking notes and trying different temperatures out for adding fragrance oil in, for pouring at, for heating to. And I think in general, heating the wax is something that you should kind of try to follow the manufacturer's instructions to a T, and then toggle with your pouring and your fragrance oil adding temperatures, seeing what works the best for you and recording the results to see what affects the final product. Something that might slip your mind is how long you're stirring the fragrance oil in to the hot wax at. So you may be pouring the fragrance oil in at the right temperature, but maybe you're not stirring long enough. It's definitely suggested to stir for at least 2 minutes. That's personally what I do, and what has worked for me, but you can toggle with different times. I definitely like to set a stopwatch kind of thing or an alarm on my phone so I can kind of zone out or watch TV or listen to my podcast. And then once I know those 2 minutes are up, then I can stop mixing. And I usually use a silicone spatula just because I feel like it's easier to get that stir on without overdoing and going too fast and creating bubbles. The next thing I would suggest is checking your wicks. So wicking can be such a journey. Finding the right wick for your diameter of your vessel, for your wax, for your fragrance oil. It's definitely no small feat when you're first starting out, or even when you're trying out a new vessel. It's definitely something that takes some time, and it's worth trying out a bunch of different wick series to see which one you like the best and which one performs the best in your wax. And different fragrance oils perform differently with different wicks, even if it's the same wax. So maybe you need to wick up one or wick down one if this is something that, you know, maybe you've created a bunch of candles already that have a good hot throw, but this one fragrance oil is not really working. It could be the wick. It could be the fragrance oil. It could be the wick. Because if you have too small of a wick, it may not be reaching full melt pool. You could have a weak flame. The flame could be getting buried and tunneling. The melted wax could totally just put the flame out, and you could have a weak hot throw from too small of a wick. You can also have too big of a wick and it's burning off all of the fragrance oil. And don't beat yourself up, because some fragrance oils are just lighter in general than other fragrance oils. A lot of the bakery, cookies, like maple scented fragrance oils are going to be heavier, and you may actually have to use less fragrance oil percentage in your wax because they're super, super strong. There's just a wide variety of different strengths of fragrance oils. You can actually see some of the time the fragrance oil is a little bit thinner looking or lighter in color, and some are darker and thicker looking. This doesn't really always mean anything, but it's something to keep in mind that not every fragrance oil is exactly the same, and some are lighter than others. Then you want to look into your cure time. How long are you letting your candle sit after it is fully hardened and made before you burn it? This is allowing the wax to fully bind with the fragrance oil, and some waxes need a very minimal cure time or no cure time, while some need a longer cure time. So it really depends on the wax that you're using and your testing and your experience. In my experience, it depends on the fragrance oil, because some fragrance oils, I can burn my 100% pure soy wax candles after 2 days and have a really strong hot throw from them, and then some may need like 5 days or 6 days to cure. So it really depends on what wax you're using. If you're not getting a super strong hot throw, it's worth trying to let that candle sit for another week, up to 2 weeks maybe, if it's like a soy wax candle, just to see if it gets stronger after sitting, and maybe it just needed more cure time. And I want to add a new scent to my line. If that fragrance oil is taking a really long time to cure before giving me a good hot throw, a lot of the time I'll just scrap it and move on to something else that will give me a better hot throw in a shorter amount of cure time, just because it helps with the processing time going forward. There's maybe some scents that in the beginning I added to a signature line that do take a little longer because they're softer, and I'll keep them and I'll let them cure longer. But going forward, adding to new collections and coming out with seasonal scents, I kind of just ditch it. If it's not really strong right away, I don't even want to mess with it. 5 days max. If not, gotta go. But it is totally fine to have that 2-week cure time. A lot of people do cure their soy candles for the full 2 weeks before burning, or suggest their customers wait after a certain time to burn their candles. Maybe they'll put a little dust cover on top of the candle that says burn after this date because this was a custom pour or something like that. So it is totally fine to wait for your candles to cure longer to get a good hot throw. Let your candle sit for a little bit longer and see how it works. A few other things to take into consideration while you're burning your candle if you're not getting a good hot throw is the location of the burning candle. Do you have super high ceilings and a really small candle with a really small diameter? It's not going to fill the whole room. You should be able to smell something if it's a scented candle, but it may not be able to fill the whole room if it's a really large space. Well, there's candles that have a larger diameter and multiple wicks that may be able to fill it a little bit better. If you have some low ceilings, you may get a really strong hot throw, and it's definitely worth trying your candle out in a smaller room, like a small bathroom with the window closed, and seeing if it smells good in there, then moving it into a larger space, and then keep moving it to a bigger space, giving it to friends who have different house layouts than you. They can kind of get an idea of how it burns in their home. That way you know when you're giving it to when you're selling it to a customer, it's gonna perform well in different types of homes. In general, things like air conditioning vents can be a challenge with burning candles and hot throws because the air is physically pushing that aroma all around. It might end up in a different place than where it's actually burning, which can be confusing, and I would suggest turning your AC off just to make sure the scent is to your liking for intensity for the hot throw, and then just keeping in mind that vents and drafts and all of that can definitely affect where the fragrance and the aroma is traveling in your home. It can be a little confusing. Another thing that I want to mention is you can become nose blind. As a candle maker, we are smelling so many different fragrance oils and pouring so many different candles that if you have a specific scent, it just might make you go nose blind, especially if you're trying to burn a candle in the candle studio where there's a lot of different smells going on. I would suggest leaving the room and then coming back. So if you have your candle burning like in your kitchen, walk out the front door, come back in right after as if you were a guest entering your home for the first time, and experience the smells in a new state. You know, like just clear the palate for a minute, because sometimes you can become nose blind. Ask some other people to come over. You got people in the house, you got family, you got friends, significant other. Can you smell this candle? Does it smell strong to you? Does it smell good to you? But don't beat yourself up about it, because it is definitely something that is part of the candle making process. And I hope that these tips helped you in getting a stronger scent from your candles while they're burning. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I have a bunch of different information and links to candle making supplies, my website, my social media down below in the description box, and I will see you guys in another video really soon. Bye!